Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a full review of a few mice that I made initial impressions videos on, but did not give full coverage to: the HSK Pro 4K from gwolves, the Xtrfy M8, and then one more surprise mouse that I will get to. But yeah, simply put, the HSK Pro 4K, I'm sure a lot of people have heard that there were reports, or not reports, there were cases of this mouse exploding due to a faulty batch of batteries. I diffused mine. I swapped out a battery from another gwolves mouse, and it is working perfectly fine. Future batches will not use faulty batteries. So is the mouse safe? Yes. Was it an extremely scuffed first batch? Also yes. But yeah, first things first with this mouse, it is 28 grams and extremely small. Like, I can call it small, but I kind of just have to show you how small it is. Pause. This is the HSK Plus from gwolves, a fingertip grip mouse that is just absolutely, it just feels massive compared to the HSK Pro, which is just tiny. It's like as small as they could make a mouse and fit in solid tech, I'm pretty sure is what they were going for. So if you do have large hands and fingertip, even if you feel like the size of a mouse generally doesn't matter for fingertip, this could very well be too small. Like, just look at it in my hands. It like is even the size of my fingers. The HSK Pro's shape is very boxy and honestly does compare pretty well to the lightest mouse in the world, this mod that I tried a few weeks ago that's only 15 grams, but obviously HSK Pro is wireless. One of the biggest caveats with this mouse is the price, coming in at $170 after using a code for a mouse that is just extremely niche by nature. And even for the people it appeals to, it's just not like a surefire buy, in my opinion. Like, I'm obviously going to give credit where credit's due. In terms of engineering, this is an insane mouse. It is the lightest wireless mouse on the market. It has 4K hertz polling rate, but it's just like, I would not put it in the same class as like a Death Adder V3 Pro, a Viper V2 Pro, a super light, just something that I would really recommend somebody to use on a day-to-day basis. It is a fun, extremely light fingertip grip only mouse to use. There is no issues in terms of side flexing, creaking, rattling, like any of the standard quality concerns on my copy. The main clicks are not like tensioned too amazingly. There's a ton of side to side play, and I really do wish that there was like a slightly higher quality click feeling. My right click is a bit more dull than my left click, but it's nothing that really breaks the mouse in game. These are using these zippy switches, which just don't have a super sharp feeling. They kind of do feel like optical switches, a little bit of mushiness, but again, nothing that ruins the mouse, just not an incredible click feeling on a mouse where the only buttons are basically the clicks. The side buttons were probably my biggest complaint on the HSK Plus. My complaint was basically that both buttons were the size of one button. They were overlapped on top of each other, so it was just basically impossible to differentiate between them. gwolves did make them protrude a bit more. There's a little bit of a gap between them, and the buttons just do feel a bit larger in general. They're still not going to be viable for Fortnite, so if you are looking to use this mouse in Fortnite, good fucking luck finding a grip that allows you to gain stability and click both side buttons at the same time while pressing the other buttons in the wheel. It's just not going to happen. Not every mouse, especially fingertip mice, are really made for Fortnite, but if you're playing other games where you just need to access the side buttons like occasionally, you'll be fine, in my opinion. But yeah, the shape of this mouse, the overlap on the right side, like my ring finger and pinky finger are basically like attached to each other. It's just not great in terms of mobility. I already did add grip tape to the mouse to make it just a little bit wider. That's another thing to mention, I guess. There are some interesting inbox extras. There's like 20 fucking pairs of skates, the grip tape, like I mentioned, which is pretty sick, high quality grip tape. And there's just an arm sleeve that comes in a pack that says fashion on it. This is hilarious to me. I did not put it on, but that is some added value, I guess. If you're like, why the fuck am I paying $170 for this mouse? You also get the gwolves iconic paintbrush. But yeah, that's like all for the in the box stuff. I don't even know how I got to that. So I'm sure this is a dream mouse for a few people who are just looking for a wireless, truly the lightest mouse out there. Just play fingertip grip, don't really care about how small and narrow the mouse is going to be. This is going to be a wild experience. It's not a terrible mouse. Is it worth $170 to the vast majority of people? Absolutely not. And it's just interesting. The value is very skewed, in my opinion, because this is the mystery mouse I mentioned earlier from gwolves, the HTS Plus Classic, which only comes in at $100 after a code, which is again going to be like $60 cheaper than the 4K version of the same shape. This mouse does have a 3370 sensor. It's 47 grams, I believe, and for $100, it just provides like a way better experience for the average user, in my opinion, than the $170 HSK Pro will. So I don't even think gwolves is trying to be consistent when it comes to how much their products cost, but having a 3370 sensor, still using the zippy switches, it does come in at a lot cheaper than the same mouse with the 3395 variant or the fingertip grip mice with 3395. So one thing I didn't even mention was the tech. The 4K hertz polling rate I did not have an issue with, besides on Fortnite, surprisingly, where I had to lower it to 2K hertz and then it felt like smooth and buttery. But in aim trainers, I was fine with 4K hertz after updating the firmware. And gwolves is at a really good place in terms of tech. I just hope to see them make the mice a bit cheaper and better shape. So basically what the HTX is. On 4K hertz, it obviously will drain the battery faster than usual. I believe I have a 180 milliamp hour battery in this, and I'm getting around just over 2 days of use. It's hard to tell if the battery indicator in the software is accurate or not, but this mouse does flash red, so it will let you know when it's dying. But now quickly getting to the Classic versus the 4K edition of the HTS Plus. When you have these mice in hand, they quite literally feel the exact same. Like the shell, the clicks, just the quality is identical, but one mouse costs $60 more than the other. And what I did is I went into aim trainers and I played the exact same scenario, just swapping mice after each run. And while I do think I noticed an improvement in like motion clarity and just the overall mouse input having 4K hertz and motion sync enabled with the 4K edition, I was not noticing a massive difference in just overall experience or scores. So if you are looking for a gwolves mouse that won't really break the bank in the same way as their like $150 plus models, I would definitely recommend the HTS Plus Classic because it does allow you to try the new shape, like the good ass weight, and just like the new gwolves experience, I guess, but for $100 with a technically last gen sensor. And I'm normally not a big fan of buying 3370 mice, but I was really just surprised by how nice the Classic edition was. Now I'm going to get to the Xtrfy M8, which is a mouse that really did not impress me. Xtrfy mice, they always have some gimmick. This time the gimmick was low button height, and in order to achieve the low button height, the mouse charges from the side. It doesn't really bother me that the mouse charges from the side. It kind of is what it is. But what bothers me is that the gimmick just kind of sucks, because where I'm gripping it and where I watched a lot of other reviewers who said, oh, the button height is so unique and innovative, grip the mouse, you're not actually getting that low of a fucking button height. And if you do want to like actually make use of the low button height, it feels like your fingers are hanging off the mouse. It just does not feel very natural at all. The HSK Pro 4K is a mouse that actually has like a super low fucking button height. Like look at where I actually grip the mouse, how low my fingers are, versus on the Xtrfy M8 when I'm just fingertip gripping it naturally. Like yes, I can force a grip where my fingers are more towards the front, then the weight balance starts to feel kind of shit, and it's just not a mouse that I am a huge fan of. For claw grip, it's something that feels sort of like a mini Superlight in terms of hump profile. I was never able to get a super solid grip with it. I was able to perform fine with the mouse though, and I feel like it's 90% of the way to being a seal of approval level mouse. Like for example, 3395 feels very well implemented, $100, 55 gram weight. But it's just like the mouse does not really come together, especially with the gimmick and just the pretty shitty click design, in my opinion, where it slopes off super hard. There's no sort of comfort grooves. It really does feel like a Microsoft WMO in terms of just the super like slippery feeling clicks. The actual Kill 8.0 implementation is not bad by any means. I apologize for that. And they're very easily spammable, not a lot of issues with side-to-side play or like post-travel. But I feel like if they just went for a pretty normal standard slope-down click design like the Superlight, this mouse would have just been a lot more of a banger for my hands personally. For some people with smaller hands, I'm sure this mouse will feel pretty natural. For fingertip, I just don't like it, ironically enough, because of how high the button height feels. And yeah, I'm not sure what more needs to be said. The scroll wheel feels like a very standard Xtrfy scroll wheel. I had no issues with charging the mouse. It does seem like the battery life is pretty good. Stock skates are good. There's all of the like shit to control your mouse because Xtrfy is too cool for software. It's really not a seal of approval level mouse in my opinion. I would love to see Xtrfy focus on making a great mouse without the gimmicks, because it seems like they have the like design and the tech down. It's just like they kind of wanted to ruin the mouse. That's how I feel, at least. I did see some people in the comments were absolutely loving it. But in terms of mice I love, I will, before the end of the year, be dropping a best mice from 2022 video, or I might just do a seal of approval product roundup. Who fucking knows? But that's going to be all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Just talking about multiple mice, not really just a standard full review, covered a lot of products, very awesome stuff. If you want to check anything out that I mentioned in this video, links will be in the description below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and that is going to be all for this video. Peace.